Hello, welcome to Living Arts. I'm your host, Jackie Suarez. Thank you for tuning in. Tonight we have a very special guest, a friend and wonderful musician, actor, composer, Brian Delma Taylor. Brian, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jackie. Pleasure.
Great to see you here.
Great to see you.
Now, you are arriving on the heels of a big concert that happened here in Peekskill at the Paramount.
Yes.
Why don't you tell our audience about it?
Oh, what a thrill. That was great. That was the Daisy Joplin Band and a cast of thousands, basically. I think we had probably at some point at least 200 people on stage at any given point. And the interesting thing is the Paramount just had another somewhat minor renovation. They added some seats.
Oh, really?
And they added them in the front. And so before I got there, I was a little concerned because she was also having dance troupes come in and singers and whatnot. And I was thinking, well, is there enough room in the front now at the Paramount? And we barely made it, though. I think adding that additional row of seats cut off about 4 feet in every direction. But
wow.
It worked out fine. You know, it was a sold-out crowd, which is always such a thrill to play to. And everybody had a blast.
A lot of energy.
So much energy, yeah.
Yeah, and for those that don't know this, Daisy Joplin is a fabulous violinist.
Yes.
She's world-renowned.
Right.
And she performed at the Paramount with String Pulse.
Yep.
And a chorus of, well, not chorus, but I guess about 200 children musicians or
Right.
child musicians.
Yeah.
And was that a part of the school that she's got going on, or it was just for the concert?
Well, I think that it was just for this concert specifically, but she's got her hand in all of the community activities regarding string playing these days, and she's really been wonderful, really very high integrity. She means very well, and she wants to spread the word. You know, she's taking her gifts,
Right.
which are many, and using them in the way that an artist should use them, and that is to help promote goodwill throughout the world. And that's really her mission. It's my mission as well, but it's really her mission.
You know what I find very interesting? Like, since I've met her,
Yeah.
which is now a couple of years now, I've developed, I guess, a renewed interest in classical music.
Great.
And I think she's had that effect on, you know, a lot of people in the
Right.
area. Just, you know, by offering to play at many of the events locally and,
Yeah.
and you know, definitely teaching.
Right.
So what specifically was your role in the concert? I know you did a lot of composing for her as well.
Well, I did some composing for her, but it was primarily in arranging her original pieces of music. And I think that in her mandate this time around was to not only introduce classical music to a new generation of people, but infuse different modern elements into that classical sounding music. So what she would do is she would bring melody lines to me, and oftentimes it didn't have chords underneath or any particular structure. And I have a lot of clients that do this with me, and so they'll hand me a melody and say, okay, let's make this into a piece of music. Let's make it into a song if it's got lyrics or something like that. And so that's where I come in. I do my thing, and I have it all set up in my studio, in my loft space.
The Sound Painter.
Sound Painter Studios, yes. And I have a wide variety of clients that I do this for, as I said. But in Daisy's case, I think it was always in the back of her mind to make this music sound classical, but make it really accessible at the same way, because American audiences are really kind of off-put from classical concerts. Now, having said that, I think certainly the major concert halls in the world, New York included, have built-in audiences that have been going for generations to the opera and
Philharmonic.
hearing the Philharmonic, and all of that is great. But I think in Daisy's case, and actually in my case, as we've really gotten into it and gotten older and better at our craft, let's say, the classical world is somewhat limiting in terms of the kinds of music that she wanted to be involved in. And so we had a lot of discussions pertaining to how we wanted these pieces to sound. And oftentimes it comes from a very general idea. She'll come to me and say, well, let's make this sound really South African, or let's make this one really jazzy and groovy, or hip-hop sounding. You know, so we incorporate modern sounds into essentially melodies that are constructed as if it were a classical piece of music.
Okay, because I was thinking to myself, like, how do you, make certain types of music more modern?
Well, you use
And now you're doing this all on something that I guess I'm thinking is similar to a synthesizer of sorts.
right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, everything is computerized these days, and for people like myself, that's really a gem to have because, for one thing, I play a lot of different instruments. Most instruments I play and sing, but I'm not a pianist. I really have very limited piano chops as far as that goes. So when computers really became a part of my life in the mid '80s, that just totally opened up my world for me.
So you don't play the
as a
piano?
composer.
I thought you did.
No, not really. I mean,
I see you in front of a keyboard, and I was
yeah.
like, well, okay.
Yeah, I can sort of make out chords, and I've got absolute pitch, so I know where all of the chords are, but I just have no piano
Okay.
technique like this. It was always kind of a mystery.
That's funny.
Yeah, so working in computers in my home studio, as with most composers like myself, and certainly in LA and Hollywood, the composers use a wide variety of digital samples incorporated in their music. And most people, as we talked at the last interview that we had, most people can't really tell the difference. And in television and movies now, the majority of soundtrack music is a combination of the two. It's computer tracks based on these enormous libraries of digital sounds now that are available to us, plus live musicians. And many people, including myself, will bring in 2 or 3 live musicians to play over those tracks so that the entire thing sounds more live. It's a little difficult to describe in that regard, unless I'm able to actually show you samples of that. But you can kind of get the idea.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
There was a workshop that you and I attended, I guess, I want to say that it was over the summer or early fall,
Yeah.
where you kind of described to the workshop or the people that were there how you build a song.
Right.
So that was actually really interesting.
Thank you.
And it was, just very articulate, and I was really very impressed, actually.
Thanks a lot.
I wish I had an ounce of talent in that area.
Well, I'm very blessed as far as
Yeah.
that goes, and I do have the ability to hear a piece of music before I actually program it in or write it in. When I was living in Manhattan, I felt that some of my best composing and creative work was done walking in Central Park, because once I have a melody in my mind, then the next thing that I do mentally is picture where everything else is going to go. And composing a piece of music is a lot like working on a blank canvas. You start with the basic components, which would be melody and harmony, and then you build it from there. And what you build around the basic melody and harmony then allows you to formulate the mood of a piece, and every piece has a different mood, and so and it's the same thing with clients. When clients come to me and they ask me, is it possible to make something really happy or bouncy or dancey? That's all possible. It's really, a generalized catch term that I just run with.
Wow, that must be interesting for someone to say, like, this is just the lyrics to something, and
Right.
you'd like it to be very kind of like downbeat or.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. So what are the services that you do offer at your studio besides, you can compose, well, you'll tell us.
Okay. Well, as I said, I work with a variety of different styles and different clients, and many of the clients that I work with, particularly this one very good friend and a client who lives in LA, he will send me the scratchiest, most primitive kind of recording on an MP3 of him essentially singing his song that he wrote, and banging on boxes and stuff like that, just to sort of accentuate what
Give
he
you an
wants with it.
idea.
Right, and then I'll just run with it, and then we'll decide: do we want it to sound country pop, which is fine, or do we want it to be, as I said, jazzy or just work with something that's really fast or really slow or something in between. Those things are usually determined before I actually sit down, so I have a better idea what the client wants, what they're expecting.
So, I'd like to talk about, you have a CD that's been, recently released. It's
Right.
the Sound Painter Odyssey.
Right.
And you created this to be kind of a workout CD.
Right. My idea was to make music that was very listenable, something that was that had strong melody and strong harmony, but music that incorporated sounds from literally all over the world. And I wanted it to be on the same CD. I didn't want all of the music to sound the same, because that's been done thousands of times, and
Right.
the market is just glutted with that stuff. And a lot of it, frankly, is just not very good.
When you say it's not very good, is the melodies that are not very good, or
Right.
it's not composed very well?
All of the above.
All of it.
Right, right. And you can tell immediately if something is going to grab you. And I just wanted this music to grab people. And so far, the reaction has been that people, when you tell somebody that it's a CD of exercise music, that sounds a little off-putting as it is.
Right, you don't know exactly what to expect.
That's right. That's right. So I wanted it to be something that you can put each individual track on and get a different kind of experience, a different emotional experience from that, and try to write music that enhanced workout routines,
experience.
the workout experience, and take it to a different level. That was my plan all along, and it's really been it's definitely been a labor of love. And it started all in my studio at my loft, Sound Painter Studios, and I go with a sense of the direction of the music, and also keeping in mind that workout routines really also have that sense of direction attached to it.
Where you have kind of like a warm-up type beginning,
Right.
and then you have
Right.
the more intense, and then the cool-down period.
Yes, yes, and I've communicated a lot with many of the instructors over at EMC, particularly this one named Henry Smith. And Henry has become a very good friend, and it happens that he's the head X-Bike instructor over there, but he also is very musical. He's not necessarily musically trained, but I love working with people like that because it's very heartfelt where it originates, and so it's just a matter of me coming in and interpreting. So
what happened first? Did you felt the need? Well, you felt that there was kind of a need to have a CD like this
Yeah.
while you were working out,
right.
and then you kind of started to just move in that direction and kind of get people's opinions and kind of work with the people at EMC.
Yeah, I did a lot of research into it because I wanted it to be right. And if I was gearing each of the pieces to a very specific routine, I wanted it to really hone in. And so I've been very lucky in being able to take advantage of input coming from many different sources over there. But Henry has been one of the main ones because when I started taking his class, which is great, boy, it'll wake you up in the morning, I'll tell you.
And this, the X-Bike, I just could not get into it, and I don't know why.
I think I
know
why.
in the beginning, yeah.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it's extremely uncomfortable to
Yeah.
sit on that seat. Extremely uncomfortable.
Right.
Right. So I couldn't get past that, and I know
Okay.
Darby was telling me that just stick with it, and you won't feel it after a while.
Yeah.
I was like, I've heard that before.
Well, they are. I know, right?
I was like,
well,
no,
they
thanks.
are somewhat adjustable, those seats, and you can
It's
make
just
it
they have no
somewhat
padding.
comfortable.
They have
yeah.
no padding.
Yeah, that's right. It's like riding a speed bike.
But I'd like to, I guess, try it again because I know that some people have a really positive experience,
Yeah.
and just give it another shot. But
Well, my experience has been nothing but positive. But when I started getting into those classes, and this was very important in terms of how I would then develop the music, I discovered that the classes had quite an ebb and flow to it. Now, the way Henry would describe it to me is that in his class, you can be at a steady pace on the bike, but then you're encountering a hill. So when you're going up a hill, you're not only up off of your seat, but you're really working the lower part of your body, and it's not just lower part of the body, but it's a lot of core work at the same time.
and it's also a mental experience too, right? Because you feel like you're on the road, or at
That's
least you're
right.
simulating being on the road.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're off the bike, you can simulate for yourself going up a hill, And then at the hill, there's a plateau, obviously, and so it's not quite as strenuous as far as that goes. And so you have an opportunity for your heart rate to then get back to where it was originally. So it's really as much about the heart as anything else. You know, the heart beats faster when you're working faster, and then you allow it to rest. And that to me, I'm coming to realize is the basis of really good exercise routines, because it can't be all strenuous. You got to allow your body to recover, to recuperate from it, even if it's momentarily. So many of the pieces have that sense of working hard and then backing off a little bit, and allowing yourself to relax, and then working hard and then backing off. And I'm finding for my own self, my own body, that worked so much better than just pounding and pounding and pounding, and
Right,
that
like
can drive a person crazy.
Than having like that, I guess, like a deep house sound.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if you want that, go to a club, right?
Well, there was that one track on there, Work.
Yeah.
Reminded me definitely of something I may have heard at the Sound Factory. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, you also used some of the, your friends to be on the CD. So
Yeah.
who's some of the people that I guess made a little appearance on the CD?
Okay, Daisy Jopling is on it, and she's wonderful. She came in and just blew right through the part that I gave her, and she's always so much fun to work with too, because she's such a great person, and such
Lot
a
of
great
energy, high
lot of energy, type A personality all the way, and she and I worked well together because we're kind of both that way. Alexis Cole is on the record, and she's just wonderful.
So what do they do exactly?
They sing primarily musical lines that I've composed for them. For example, Alexis is singing melodies that I've written as a jazz scat. So it's not really lyric, but it's "Suvidi-va-va," you know,
Yeah.
you know, whatever the melody is, she'll add her own individual take on that, as if it were Ella or somebody like that scat singing. She's remarkable in that way. And Margaret Steele is on it, my very dear friend. She's not a percussionist, but she came to me and she said, "Brian, I'm dying to be on this CD. What can I do?" So I pulled out a little arsenal of percussion instruments for her, you know, various size shakers, and not a lot of bongos. I kind of handle all of that, but for Margaret, it was more bell trees and adding delicious sounding high end stuff. You know, just ear candy is what she added to it, and it worked out beautifully.
Yeah. So what were the nuts and bolts of getting this CD together?
There are companies that are out there that are established so that you can have a few hundred CDs made up initially, if that's going to be your initial release. And there's this, there are templates that are set up so that you can go with either an established template, as if it were a business card, something along those lines. You can either go that route, or you can take original photographs, or in the case of my CD, it happens that it's a photograph of one of my illustrations that I've painted at home. It's a very large painting in acrylic. So you can do anything. You can do anything these days. You can Photoshop it like crazy. And once you have all of the written, the liner notes ready, which would be all of the credits, you know, recognizing family members or mentors in your life that have really been important for your musical development. That's all in there. And by doing it by yourself, it's great because it not only becomes a more personal venture, but you can really double check it and make sure you've got everybody covered, everybody who you want to mention, who's meant something.
Total, you know, creative control.
Right, total creative control, and that's what's wonderful about today's technology. It will allow you to do that. And then you send off, you can either MP3 or you can send off the graphics and everything. You can mail it to them. It takes a little longer to do that because you're working with mail. But then what they'll do is that they'll put everything together. They'll put the whole package together, how the CD itself is going to look, if there's a logo that you want to use. And then they'll send it back to you. And so that you can use that as your sample, and then it's a matter of sitting down and meticulously going through every single track on that sample, making sure that it's EQ'd correctly.
Do you work with someone to help you do that, or an associate producer or something?
I didn't in this case. I do oftentimes. A lot of the CDs that I've done prior to moving to Peekskill, I worked with other engineers, but that's how I learned the craft, basically. And so the gear and the instruments that I have in my workspace at home are what I'm used to working in other venues. So I just learn from everybody. I'm kind of a sponge in that way. And it's also great because you're your own boss when it comes to that.
Right, exactly. So you can take as long as you'd like, or,
Yeah.
move things along more quickly.
That's right.
So you're essentially marketing this to fitness centers.
Yes.
And I guess any place where anyone is working out.
Right.
Now, where would our audience be able to get information about getting a hold of?
There's a specific link on.
Or individual tracks, right?
Sure. There's a specific link on Amazon now. You can Google my name, and it'll come up on Amazon. And you can do just exactly that. You can sample each of the tracks that are on there, and you can purchase them individually. Or if you want the whole CD, you can purchase the whole CD, and it's all done online. And then
So are you on CD Baby or any of those various things?
yes, on Wix and on iTunes. It's available in a lot of different places. But I would say Amazon is probably the best bet for most people. They have more direct access than a lot of these other things. But it's been great because the CD has been selling really well. Just from word of mouth. And what I'm trying to encourage everybody, as with any kind of venture like this, is to, in the event that you come to my CD party, which is coming up, and you purchase a CD, tell your friends, because
Right, 'cause
it's really
powerful marketing.
That's right. It's really almost like a pyramid structure in that way. You start with a few individuals, and then they pass the word. Then those people pass the word, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right, and I think what you're going to find, because I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
It was just beautifully done.
Thanks.
And like I said, it was hypnotic, and I listen to it on a regular basis.
Great.
Yep. So I hope that a lot of the fitness studios and places around here, or anyone that I know that's a trainer,
Yeah.
will give them the opportunity to have a listen
Thank you.
and use it.
I hope so, too.
And you can also just use it personally if you do yoga in your home or anything
Right.
like that. Also cleaning.
Yeah.
Because it's great to clean too.
Well, it's a very zen experience in that way, and I'm sort of like
It's
that.
almost like a journey.
It's like a journey, and
It is.
actually, interesting. I've gotten comments from other people who are not necessarily exercise buffs, who have said to me, "Brian, this is great for just getting in your car and driving someplace beautiful." Or I've got an artist friend who is a painter, and he said that a couple of the cuts are great for painting, for sitting down and
Right, because there's no words to get caught up in. It's
That's
just
right.
it's just the melody.
Yeah.
So we are coming. We've run out of time. So why don't
Okay.
you give our audience a way to contact you?
Okay.
Your website information.
Yes, my website is btsoundpainter at well, actually, that's my email address, sorry. btsoundpainter at gmail.com. You can contact me there. Or, as I said, you can go straight into my new website, which is soundpainterstudios.com. And I'm also working on another individual website, briandelmataylor.com, which incorporates not only my music work, but my acting work and my community service activities and things along those lines. Just kind of a wider scope of what I do.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on the show. As always, it's a pleasure to see you.
Thank
you always
you.
have so many things going on, and this has been such a wonderful CD. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, and it's always such a great treat to see you and to be on your show. I watch it regularly, and
Well, thank you.
And yeah,
Well, to the Living Arts audience, I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. Definitely take a look, find out about Brian's CD, and take a listen to it or hear it. I want to thank you again, and don't forget to like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Living Arts in Westchester, and we will see you again soon. Peace.
I'm thrilled that everybody's here tonight, and I can tell you that this particular CD is and has been a total labor of love. all of my wonderful guests tonight. Carly Dean, you're just amazing. Daisy Joplin, what a phenomenon you are. Alexis Cole, unbelievable. Margaret Steele, just tremendous. I'm surrounded by just some of the greatest talent on earth. And I'm also surrounded by some of the most wonderful people and talented artists in their own right. Katie Schmidt-Fetter, Sol Miranda, and everybody at Embark. Darby Lynn Melnick, thank you so much. None of this would be possible without you.